We'll get through this one.
You're good to go, huh?
All right. Shalom, shalom, family. Tonight, this study is going to be on where your treasure is, and it's going to be a study on greed, contentment, and true wealth. All right, if I can get these right here. So, all things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. This Ecclesiastes 1:8. And the reason this verse was chosen because greed has existed in humanity from the very beginning. Abba Yahuwah, from the dawn of civilization, gave Adam all things in the Garden of Eden. Every tree was at his disposal, yet withheld only one tree. And despite having access to every tree, Hawa, Eve, chose the one that was forbidden and then gave it to her husband, Adam, who also ate from it. Why does this matter? Our ancestors were entrusted with abundance, yet even a small desire for the unknown led them to disobey. This single act marked the beginning of humanity's downfall, revealing that greed was present in the human heart from the very start. Some would even say that inquisitiveness led to greed by wanting the unknown, a thirsting for which we are thirsting for it, which we see today. No matter what people have, it just seems it's never enough. So I took a verse from Exodus 16:18 to 23, which reads, But when they measured it with Omar, whoever gathered much had nothing left over, and whoever gathered little had no lack. Each of them gathered as much as he could eat. So they gathered what they needed. And Moshe told them, Let no one leave any of it over till the morning, but they did not listen to him. Some left part of it till the morning and bred worms and stank, and Moshe was angry with them. Morning by morning they gathered it, each as much as he could eat. But when the sun grew hot, it melted. On the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omars each. In this passage, we see the children of Yasharal gather manna, storing it out of fear that they would not have enough for the next day. Even though all was provided for them, they desired more. This was greed. Moshe explicitly told the Israelites not to store manna, as Yahuwah would provide. Yet they disobeyed and even profaned the Shabbat by gathering on the seventh day, showing fear that Yahuwah would not provide. Yahuwah was wroth. These are the same people he led out of Mitzrayim, parted the waters for, yet they still complain. You can read about that in Exodus 16:1 through 6 for context. It speaks on the events of the wilderness after leaving Mitzrayim. So as discussion points, greed despite provision. They gathered manna, feared lacking for the next day. They were warned not to. After being led out of Mitzrayim, they still complained, despite the miracles that Yahuwah had showed them. Despite all the things that he had done, they still had disbelief that he would provide for them. So a few discussion points, and you're going to see these at about 4 or 5 slides, because I want them to sit in our minds. The fear of lacking leads to disobedience and greed. A fear. Even those who have witnessed divine provision can fall into worry and selfishness. Our ancestors were led divine provision. He provided for them from the Shamayim, not only with manna, but when they complained about manna, he gave them quail in abundance, and they still did not believe. So obedience requires trust, even when abundance seems insufficient. One of the reasons that they were told not to stack so much is because they was constantly moving. So it's kind of like when you go into a basic training, everything will be provided for you.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
So when you bring
From blizzards and downpours to windstorms or heat waves, no matter where you live, Leak Filter keeps your gutters water-free year-round. Schedule your free inspection today at 833 Leak Filter.
so that abundance requires trust, even obedience, even when abundance seems insufficient. So some forms of more than greed, hoarding amidst abundance. So fearing of shortages. I'm sure you hear people nowadays saying, well, they're going to run out of tissue. That was the big one in 2020. They're going to run out of this. They're going to run out of that. And people hoarded these things, hoarded, and they never needed them. The things that they needed that were provided to them ahead of time, but they hoarded and he left others in need. So there were plenty of people who went out for things like I'm glad I had the tissue and the milk here because those were two of the things that you went into the store and you couldn't find. So there were people who needed these things and couldn't find them because others hoarded them out of fear. Greed also overpowers trust and provision, even when resources are abundant. Stores amongst stores everywhere. I'm sure we all know that will be a time where things are not going to be there, but it's not just going to happen overnight. You're able to see these things leading up to them, and you can start storing things here and there a little, there a little, kind of like a precept. But here, people just out of fear and out of greed, they just overstored and hoarded and left others without. So, unlike the Israelites of old, hoarders are not just ignoring Yahuwah, they also ignoring their neighbor's need. So, this is bringing us into further disobedience by telling us we're supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves, but we take so much that we leave nothing for our neighbors. So, again, fear of lacking leads to disobedience and greed. Even those who have witnessed divine provision can fall into worry and selfishness. So another form of modern greed is one of excess amidst abundance. I wanted to bring this up because not just uh, certain forms of greed, like I want to look at every form of greed that we could think of. So individuals flaunt wealthy and luxury while others struggles to meet basic needs. I'm sure you can hear this in the music videos nowadays. You can see it on television, how people flaunt the things they have while walking past homeless people. Again, this is disobedience. This is us not caring for our neighbors or loving them like ourselves because we have so much, yet our neighbors have nothing. We'll walk past a homeless person, but we'll give a burger to a dog. Luxury and overconsumption overpower compassion and responsibility. So we're looking to be so comfortable that people overconsume, trying to have the best of the best. In the background, the Louis and the Gucci, I wanted to really put that up because our people especially will go out and work a job hard just to spend $1,500 on a purse just to say it's real. And no one cares if it's real or not. While others are starving, they won't give a family member a place to stay or give food to their family, but they'll spend $1,500 on a purse made by someone who doesn't even like our people. Again, fear of lacking leads to disobedience and greed. So, in the last passage, sorry, I'm gonna go back. In the last passage, this was reading when Moshe was teaching them about gathering the manna and storing it out of fear. The Israelites would have had enough for the next day. Even though all was provided for them, they still desired more, had to hide, had to, make sure they stored, not just out of fear, but out of greed as well, because the belly is never full. The appetite of the eye is always bigger than the appetite of the belly. He explicitly told them not to store manna. He told them Yahweh would provide, yet they disobeyed. They disobeyed and even profaned the Shabbat. I mean, that's a strong message. Out of all the things that Yahuwah showed them when they left Mitzrayim, how he will provide for them. they still disobeyed. And I wanted to read that again because I just feel like it's such a powerful point that you have the Father right there with you providing, yet you still disobeyed. In Exodus 20:17, it teaches us not to covet. Can someone please bring up Exodus 20:17 and read that one verse, please? All right. Second. 2017. Okay. Exodus 20:17.
I got you out.
Okay.
You do not cover your neighbor's house. You do not cover your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor.
Thank you, Ark. So Exodus 20:17 teaches us not to covet. This commandment was given to guard the heart. Coveting begins inwardly, but it does not remain there. Jealousy grows into deceit, and deceit can go into theft, theft into violence, and violence unto murder. For an example, look at those who rob for cars and jewelry. Oftentimes, these result in death. Is life more valuable than gold? To some, it is not. We've seen throughout history and even in our present world how envy over possessions, relationships, status, or wealth has led people to break into homes, destroy lives, and take what is not theirs. What begins as desire can become destruction. These laws that Yahuwah gave us, are not merely to set us apart from other nations, they were also given to preserve us in the image of Yahuwah. Covenant distorts that image because it says what Yah has given is not enough. I have a wife, but I need his wife. I have a car, but I need his car. I have a house, but I need that house right there. I got a good job, I need a better job, etc. Even in our relationship with Yahuwah, our ancestors demonstrated this same heart posture. They were not satisfied with one Elohim. Though he delivered them from bondage in Mizraim, parted the sea, defeated their enemies, and baraked them when they were obedient, they still desired the mighty ones of other nations. Gods of wood and stone that had no power. After being led out of Mizraim, after being fed in the wilderness, after being shown the new place for them to leave, the new land Yahuwah had for them, after all that, they still went after gods of wood and stone that had no power. But not only that, what's more important, what's more important is that Yahuwah defeated those gods for Yasharel by destroying their armies. Because remember, these gods are wood and stone, they have no power, but they had armies. And Yahuwah defeated those armies for us. And show perfect example. And show 15 Judges 2:11-19. They serve Balaam and Ashtaroth. In Judges 10, we see 7 for idolatry. In First Malachim, Kings 18, and in Eliyahu, Eliyahu stood against 450 prophets of Baal. In Hosea, they built altars and offered sin gifts. Time and time again, coveting what other nations had led to idolatry. I want to go back to show 15 to Judges to 2:11-19. Someone's willing to read that? If not, I'm pulling it up right now. Just want to show how crooked our people have been and how
What did you
Yahuwah.
say it was? I can read it.
Yes, ma'am. That's Judges, show 15, chapter 2:11-19.
Judges
Chapter 2,
15.
11 through 19. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Chapter 2, 11 through 19.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And the children of Yasharel did evil in the sight of Yahweh and served Baliam. And they forsook Yahweh Elohai of the fathers which brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and followed other Elohim, and of the Elohim of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked Yahweh to anger. And they forsook Yahweh and served Baal at Ashtaroth. And the anger of Yahweh was hot against Yasharel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round and about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of Yahweh when they went out, the hand of Yahweh was against them for evil, as has said, and as Yahweh has sworn 7 oaths unto them, and they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, Yahweh raised up judges which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a whoring after other Elohim and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of Yahweh, but they did not so. And when Yahweh raised them up judges, then Yahweh was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge for Yahweh's side, because of their groanings, by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, and following others Elohim to serve them, and excuse me, and following other Elohim to serve them and to bow down unto them. They cease not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn ways. Did you want me to continue, or 19 was good?
That was good, sister. Thank you very much. And Yahuwah's displeasure was burned against Yasha'al. So here is a nation, again, what other reason to go after another Elohim if you have one? These nations that they were around, again and again, they bowed down to these mighty ones, if you will. Even after Yahuwah showed them so much, in just that small passage that she read, you saw 3 times, different times where Yahuwah sent them out because they were disobedient. Then he saved them. Then he brought them back. So again, here our people, our ancestors, for greed, for inquiry of the unknown, so to speak, they went after other mighty ones. So, in our relationship with Yahuwah, our ancestors demonstrated this type of heart posture. They were never satisfied with one Elohim. Though he delivered them from bondage in Mitzrayim, they still went back to others. Even Malak, Shlomo, King Solomon, the wisest man on earth, was not immune. Though warned not to take wives from other nations, his greed for women led his heart astray. His desire caused him to serve other mighty ones because of these women, directly violating the commandments of Abba Yahuwah. Greed made the wisest man foolish. So here is a man who was wise enough to ask for wisdom when given a choice of anything in the world to have. But greed destroyed the wisdom that he received. Covenant is not small. This is not a small thing. It's a seed of rebellion. It says, what I have is not enough. And ultimately, Yahuwah is not enough. Just think, if all comes from Yah and you have abundance, but greed of the eyes will make us fall every time. That is why this commandment guards the heart, because when the heart is guarded, the life is preserved. So A couple discussion points. I'll put these down here so people can, look at things that they might want to say or reason, things they might want to bring up in the end. But covenant leads to greatest sins and strain from Yahuwah. Contentment with Yahuwah prevents the chase after empty things. All these things are empty and feeding on wind, meaning it could never fill you up. Greed and jealousy are at odds with living in the image of Yahuwah. So, the next verse I wanted to use for an example was Matthew. I'm sure we all know this. Matthew 6. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in the Shamayim, heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall also be. In 1 Timothy. But reverence with contentment is great gain. For we brought not into the world, and it's impossible to take anything out. When we have food and coverings, we shall be satisfied with these. This keeps us from falling into greed, being satisfied with what we have. So many people spent their lives laying up and acquiring these treasures of the earth. Men give their time, their strength, their health, even their peace in pursuit of wealth, status, and possessions. What value does any of these truly hold? As is written in Matthew 16. For what is a man profited if he gains the world and loses his own life? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his life? Does man not know that his life belongs to Yahuwah and is not his own to give? Therefore, service to Yahuwah is the purpose of this life, not to acquire useless things. You're going to hear this again later, but we came in here clean. The purpose of this life is to leave here clean, just like we came clean. All the materials of this world are temporary, without lasting value. And Koheleth, which is ecclesiastic, it teaches us that these things are chabel, a breath, a vapor, something that passes away. As is written in Ecclesiastes 1:2-3, all is vanity, feeding on wind, which means they have no value. And feeding on wind, no one is ever full. This is the value of that which we are food to chase. So the question here to be asked, can a man give treasures in exchange for his life? Or can a man bargain with Yahuwah? Neither of these can be done. So chasing money and chasing valuable, so-called valuable things on this earth is useless. So, again, all these things already belong to Yahuwah. What then does a man truly own? What can he offer in exchange when everything he's acquired is still nothing and lacks lasting value? Therefore, the only true wealth, the only treasure that gives life is Torah, the Torah, as it is written in Debarim, Deuteronomy 32:46-47. For it is not a worthless word for you, because it is your life. The Torah is life. True value is not found in possessions, but in obedience, wisdom, and the life that comes from the word of Yahuwah. So, worldly examples. I wanted to give you a couple worldly examples to take a look at. In today's world, many people spend their entire lives chasing financial success, long hours, multiple jobs, constant stress, and the sacrifice of time with family and loved ones are often justified in the pursuit of more money or a higher standard of living. Yet many who reach great wealth find themselves empty, anxious, and dissatisfied. Some lose their health from stress, others lose their families through neglect. Some gain everything materially, but live with no peace, no purpose, and no spiritual foundation. This reflects the warning of Matthew 16:26. A man may gain the world, but if he loses his peace, his relationships, his health, or his life for Yahuwah? Or what does he truly gain? What things are people sacrificing today in the pursuit of money? When does providing become pursuing wealth at the cost of life? People are willing for a temporary life trade for a permanent death, because when you leave Torah, you no longer have life, but you are accepting permanent death. Another modern form of storing treasures on earth is the pursuit of image and status. Many people measure their worth by what they display: expensive clothing, luxury cars, large homes, social media attention, and public recognition. So entire lifestyles are built around appearance rather than substance. Debt is accumulated to maintain an image. Comparison and competition drive people to keep upgrading, always chasing the next level. You know, like you hear these young guys, I want to be the next Jordan. I want to be the next this or next that. That's idol worship. They find themselves constantly chasing something to try to be better instead of being content with what they have. Yet this status that they chase is temporary. Trends change, attention fades, recognition disappears. What was once admired quickly becomes forgotten. So again, you spend your entire life chasing something that is no longer valuable. This is Habel, a vapor feeding on wind. When identity is built on possessions or public approval, the heart becomes tied to things that cannot last. But where the treasure is, there the heart will be also. So, a couple of questions. How has social media increased the desire for status and appearance? You see it all the time. Everyone wants to be an influencer. An influencer gets you to do something. Everyone wants to be an influencer. They want to influence someone to do something. How do we recognize our own identity is tied to what we display rather than who we are before Yahuwah? People are so worried about how the world sees them, but they're not looking at how Yahuwah sees them. And that's much more important than the world. So here's a couple of verses that are going to give us some examples about money, houses, cars, things like that. So First Timothy, I wrote down some examples of things that people chase. Money. First Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So money is a tool. It's not a treasure. But yet we've been convinced to believe that money is a treasure when it's not. So possessions, luxury, do not lay up treasures on earth. Here's a thought: what rusts and fades cannot hold your heart. So things of this world that, like, I love cars. Like, I love BMWs. Like, that's like my car. But I don't praise it. I'm not going to break myself to obtain one. I'm not going to not feed my family to obtain one. It's a hobby. It's something that I like. But it's nothing that I think is going to drive me into the kingdom. Galatians 1:10. Do I seek to please men? So approval from people is temporary. And if they're not following the laws, statutes, and commandments of Father Yahweh, how important are they anyways? Food and comfort. Let your God not be your belly. Man shall not live by bread alone. So physical comfort cannot satisfy the soul. You can be full now and then 20 minutes later you'll be hungry again. So whatever you do physically, it does not satisfy your soul. There's a lot of people that think that they need security, and we need to have all these savings, we need to have all this money, we need to have all of these things. This night your life will be required of you, says Luke 12:20. So no earthly security can preserve your life. You can save all you want, but none of it will enter into the Shamayim with you or in New Jerusalem. Success and achievement. That's another one that a lot of people chase. They want to be so successful at their jobs. Ecclesiastes Koheloth 2:11 tells us that all was vanity and grasping for wind. So achievement without Yahuwah is empty. Empty. So all of these things are not evil by themselves. The question is not what we have. The question is, where is your treasure. These things by themselves are not evil, but obedience to Torah produces contentment, trust, order, and life. Without obedience, the heart will always chase something else. It will never be satisfied if you are not obedient. So the world promises satisfaction, but it never fills. Only obedience to Yahuwah brings life, and life is in the Torah. A couple examples for the ending. The one who loves silver is never satisfied. The one who chases gold is never satisfied. The one who chases increase will always want more, always need to make more money. The labor of man fills his mouth, but his being is never filled. This is the condition of the human heart without Yahuwah. All the things of this world promise satisfaction, but again, they never deliver. Money does not satisfy. It makes you greedier. You need bigger and better. You're never content. You always need more. Status, again, does not satisfy. You have to be larger than life. Possessions, they never satisfy. You need more toys, boats, cars, houses, rings, chains, etc., clothing. I remember there was a trend a few years back where rap artists would say they never wore the same t-shirt. So here we got all of these poor people out here trying to live by this creed. By, I never wear the same t-shirt twice. They'll buy a t-shirt, wear it, and throw it away. Like it was disgusting. And here we are again. They could have did it. They could have donated those to homeless shelters or people who had no clothing. But this is what evil does to us. It get our minds so wrapped up on what we see and what we're led by. And if we're not led by Yahuwah, then we're led by the devil, no matter how you want to look at it. If Yahuwah is not leading you, then you're being led by Hasatan. Success does not satisfy. You can't stop till you're on top. There was a saying a few years back, 24/7. We used to all say it, no days off, 24/7, on the grind, on the hustle. Well, even the slang that we speak and the small things that we learn from the world are disobedient to the Torah. Because if you 24/7, no days off, that means you're disobedient to the Shabbat. You're not keeping it. You can't be 24/7 and remember the Shabbat and keep it holy. So if you see the problem, it's never the world. The problem is the heart, because we can overcome the world. But we can't if we haven't circumcised the heart. And this is why our Mashiach said, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So now the question is not about what you own. The question is, where is your treasure? What do you pursue? What do you trust? What do you fear losing? See, I fear losing eternal life. I trust in Yahuwah, in the Torah, and Mashiach. I pursue to get up every day and do these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of my ability. And my treasure, I pray, is in the Shamayim. Because whatever holds your heart, that is your treasure. The world teaches us to chase more. Yahweh teaches us to obey. The world teaches us to accumulate. Torah teaches us to be content. The world teaches us that success is wealth. The world teaches us that the Torah teaches us that life is obedience. Because true wealth is not what you possess. True wealth is obedience to Yahuwah. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be given unto thee. So be obedient to Yahuwah, and you shall thirst and want for nothing. Mashiach already told you that